of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum for bringing together like minds to exchange ideas, forge partnerships, and collectively navigate the challenges and opportunities for a better future for mankind. It is indeed a great pleasure to be back in Dubai, a place where I've spent my youthful years back in early 70s when I was part of a project. My late father was establishing a steel plant here in Rashidia, Dubai. And today again, standing here in Dubai for this summit, Dubai has become a city where the future meets the present, a hub of global economy, commerce, and technology. And it is absolutely amazing to go around and see the most innovative interventions Dubai has introduced over the last many years. Ladies and gentlemen, this gathering could not have come at a more opportune time as the region begins to recover from the tumultuous aftershocks of the tragic conflict in Gaza, which has claimed over 50,000 innocent Palestinians. It is now our hope that the genocidal operation will be followed by lasting peace. However, Pakistan believes that durable and just peace is only possible through a two-state solution in accordance with the relevant UN resolutions. That is, the creation of an independent state of Palestine with pre-1967 boundaries and Al-Quds as its capital. Ladies and gentlemen, today I address this august gathering of visionaries, policymakers, and global leaders as the Prime Minister of Pakistan, a nation that over the past 7 decades has navigated immense challenges while remaining steadfast in its commitment to progress, resilience, and international cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, despite huge challenges, placing our economy on a firm footing has been a central plank of what we have achieved in Pakistan in the last 1 year. And as I speak today, Pakistan stands at a defining moment of economic transformation. Headline inflation has dropped to 2.4% in January this year, the lowest in 9 years, with the interest rate capped at 12%, a major stimulus for private sector credit. Excellencies, economic stability is a means and not an end. Our 5 E's National Economic Transformation Plan, Udan Pakistan, is driving this change, focusing on exports, e-Pakistan, environment and climate change, energy and infrastructure, equity and empowerment. At the core of this agenda is energy security and sustainability, not just as an economic necessity, but as a national priority. Pakistan is committed to achieving a 60% clean energy mix by 2030 and transitioning 30% of all vehicles to electric mobility. We are rapidly scaling up solar, wind, hydropower, and nuclear energy. Our southern regions hold 50,000 megawatts of untapped wind energy potential. Our northern hydropower projects will add 13,000 megawatts of clean energy capacity. Solar energy adoption is being accelerated through policy reforms, tax exemptions, investment incentives, net metering, and waiving of custom duties on solar panels and other equipment. Excellencies, Pakistan offers one of the most dynamic investment landscapes in Asia, with 70% of its dynamic, young, and tech-savvy population under the age of 30. A strategic location that Pakistan is, bridges South and Central Asia and an emerging middle class. Our economy presents promising opportunities. We are simplifying business regulations, enhancing legal protections, and streamlining investment approvals to make Pakistan a leading destination for global capital. To drive investment in key sectors, the Special Investment Facilitation Council has been established, focusing on renewable energy and resilient infrastructure, technology and digital economy, minerals and industrial development, and agricultural and food security. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan is embracing eco-friendly agricultural innovations under the umbrella of the Adaptation Policy 2023 to enhance productivity, ensure food security, and strengthen our rural economy. We are working to enhance water efficiency through drip irrigation, precision farming, drought-resistant crops, and watershed management to restore depleting aquifers. We are also incentivizing agri-tech innovation by deploying solar-powered irrigation systems, using renewable energy sources for farm operations and climate-smart sensors to monitor soil and weather conditions, to modernize our farming systems while reducing our environmental footprint. Next month, inshallah, 1,000 Pakistani agricultural graduates are being sent to China for training in advanced agricultural techniques. Ladies and gentlemen, while we pursue growth targets, the underlying priorities remain centered around uplifting communities, creating equitable opportunities, and building a prosperous future for our people. Ladies and gentlemen, the global shift to a green economy requires a shared responsibility. While we are fully committed to mobilizing domestic resources and policy reforms, international partnerships and financial support remain critical to achieving this goal. Pakistan's energy transition alone demands $100 billion in investment. Therefore, we call upon governments to strengthen climate financing and technology sharing, private investors to explore Pakistan's clean energy and infrastructure opportunities, multilateral institutions to support emerging economies like Pakistan in achieving sustainable growth. Distinguished delegates, Pakistan stands at the threshold of a new era, one that prioritizes infrastructural advancements, economic diversification, and human development. The future is not something we passively inherit. Rather, it is something we actively shape. Let this summit herald the dawn of a global peace and sustainable, prosperous future for all of us. Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you. of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum for bringing together like minds to exchange ideas.
Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our next session is titled Security, Trust and Innovation in an Interconnected World by John Giammatteo, CEO of BlackBerry.
Well, good afternoon. My name's John Giammatteo, and as CEO of BlackBerry, I'd like to thank you for having me here today. You know, when people hear the name BlackBerry, one common question always seems to come to mind. BlackBerry, are you still around? We get that a lot. I will tell you, we get that a lot. And since joining the company, and particularly since stepping into the CEO role last year, this is a question I'm asked frequently. And it's one that I'm proud to answer. This past year, BlackBerry celebrated our 40th anniversary. And while the products and services that we deliver today can't be held in the palm of your hand, the core value that we deliver to our customers hasn't really changed that much. Security, trust, and innovation has always been the promise of BlackBerry. From powering safety-critical systems in your vehicles, to protecting governments around the world, to ensuring the security and business continuity across regulated industries, BlackBerry is there. Today, our products and services directly address the cyber threats of the future. The recent Salt Typhoon, that whole campaign served as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities that are inherent in our global communications infrastructure. These attacks exposed how easily bad actors could infiltrate systems, creating hidden backdoors to spy on the communications of politicians, military personnel, executives, and private citizens. Cyber attacks of all kinds are on the rise. The United States Department of Health and Human Services reported a 278% increase in data breaches via ransomware across their hospital networks. In Canada, more than 70% of Canadians have experienced a cybersecurity incident in the past year. As our employees blend their business and their personal lives on their devices, vulnerabilities and exploitations are on the rise through free messaging applications that are now over 3 billion users around the world. As we faced these trends, the challenges that these governments and enterprises that are struggling to secure their operations in an adversarial world. And without the core systems of even the strongest security measures that could unravel and jeopardize operational resilience and national defense. I'm proud to say that we work with all G7 governments, the majority of the G20, 8 out of the 10 largest banks around the world to secure and deliver their most critical and sensitive communications. Your government or bank likely relies on BlackBerry to safeguard your most sensitive data and communications. Or it could be the mobility apps that securely enhance your productivity at work. Your business may deploy our industry-leading critical events management software that provides safety to your colleagues during a crisis. Across it all, BlackBerry is there. And while BlackBerry may look a little bit different than we did from years ago, we're still here, powering the world around us and ready for the next 40 years. So for those of you that ask me, hey, BlackBerry, are you still around? I'm proud to say, you better believe it, we never went away. Thank you for the time this morning.
Leadership of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum for bringing together like minds to exchange ideas, forge partnerships, and collectively navigate the challenges and opportunities for a better future for mankind. It is indeed a great pleasure to be back in Dubai, a place where I've spent my youthful years back in early 70s when I was part of a project. My late father was establishing a steel plant here in Rashidia, Dubai. And today again, standing here in Dubai for this summit, Dubai has become a city where the future meets the present, a hub of global economy, commerce, and technology. And it is absolutely amazing to go around and see the most innovative interventions Dubai has introduced over the last many years. Ladies and gentlemen, this gathering could not have come at a more opportune time as the region begins to recover from the tumultuous aftershocks of the tragic conflict in Gaza, which has claimed over 50,000 innocent Palestinians. It is now our hope that the genocidal operation will be followed by lasting peace. However,
attempts to play catch-up, a new wave of tariffs from the Trump administration also threatens to drive up consumer prices, putting global supply chains under strain. And right here in the Gulf, AI and digital transformation are all accelerating at an unprecedented pace, raising opportunities and challenges, including in the security arena, as you've just heard, for businesses and for government leaders alike. So how are the global technology leaders thinking about all of this? Well, I'm absolutely thrilled to be sitting on stage with some serious tech heavyweights here. Arvind Krishna is the chairman and CEO of IBM. Enrique Lores is the CEO of HP. Christian Klein, the CEO of SAP. And John Giamatteo, the CEO of BlackBerry. So let's dive straight into this topic. Arvind, I wanted to start with you. As you've just heard, DeepSeek has been called America's Sputnik moment. So what's your take on this as a technology leader? Is the United States still leading the global AI race, or is China setting the pace?
Look, there's always competition. I would not have called DeepSeek a Sputnik moment. It is a wake-up moment. It is a wake-up moment that the trend which every technology for 70 years has seen is happening. Cost comes down, the ability to serve it comes down, competition springs up. So the advantage for everybody, every enterprise, every government, every consumer, is much, much lower cost going forward. For the tech industry, it means you got to find cheaper and cheaper ways to go develop these things and bring them forward. On your question on AI leadership, look, the first one to do something is always the very hard one. Once it's been proven, people who are smart, people who have abilities are going to follow and catch up. So I don't regard that as being an inhibitor to the business. But AI should be global, and AI should advantage everybody, is kind of what I take away from that moment, if anything.
Christian, over to you. Do you think Europe is too far behind to catch up now? You've been listening into what President Macron has been saying in the last couple of days and these developments happening only in the last few hours in Europe. What's your take?
I mean, look, with regard to Europe, I mean, I would give every European a good advice. Don't try to play Me Too and try to copy and force now to have another large language module provider. At the end, what is key for AI is business data, and without business data, AI is useless. And large language modules, they read the internet, the World Wide Web really well, and they understand unstructured content. But Europe has, in many industries, very wealthy AI, very wealthy business data, which is important for AI. And so Europe should apply this technology. I mean, we are, SAP, we feel more like Switzerland, in between, we are using large language models from China. We are using large language models from the US. We are running multinationals. But what SAP can do is we going to infuse business AI into the business processes of our customers. And no matter if you're in manufacturing, in retail, or in the public sector, what you need is you need to provide value for the end users. And this is, what we can do, not only in Europe, but across the world. And the LLMs, DeepSeek has showed it, they will be more and more commoditized, and the value creation will happen at the business layer, at the business processes. And that is what Europe, but every other company on this planet should focus on.
Enrique, over to you next. How does HP stay competitive when all of this development is happening in such a fragmented way?
Actually, we are doing two different things. From one side, we are integrating AI in all of our portfolio, and we're in a company that produces personal devices. And when Arvind was talking before about DeepSeek and the changes this is driving, one of the changes this is making very real is that you can run models much simpler, and this is really going to help us to enable the consumption of AI at the edge. And the second big change that we are doing is responding to the change of globalization. One of the big changes that we're going through now is the fact that building products in one place, we have learned, is not resilient enough. Also, probably doesn't respond to the current geopolitical situation. So we have embarked in a process of diversifying our supply chain and building manufacturing hubs all over the world. And this is a big change that only a few years ago would have been totally impossible.
John, weigh in on this as well, because BlackBerry, as you've just explained very well, has pivoted to cybersecurity and IoT. How do you see this AI race reshaping digital security risks? And are we prepared for the threats ahead as we see this development taking place and as we see what could potentially be a decoupling in technology between the United States and China?
100%. I would kind of piggyback a little bit on what Christian was talking about. Is to me, it's all of these business use cases. How do we take this data and really improve the productivity, the value that we create? You know, in our case, we try to do it pervasively. You know, our threat intelligence models makes the efficacy of our products better from a cyber perspective. I would even tell you from a go-to-market perspective, we use it to improve our lead generation, to target the specific customers that make sense for us to go after. So those different use cases, customer service and support, using it as a tool to have self-help capabilities where our customers can answer their questions so much more effectively than they did if they called us in the old models of a call center. So I think those types of applications will really create the value of it and be kind of a flywheel effect of value for the industry.
Just a question for the panel broadly. Anyone can pick this up. What will determine who will lead the global AI race as it stands? Anyone want to take that question?
I think it's going to be driven by innovation. Those companies and those countries that will continue to innovate, that will, in the balance between innovation and regulation, favor innovation, I think are the countries that will be winning. As Arvind was saying, in technology, being first is very important, and those that will drive that will have a competitive advantage.
Look, it's a 10-90. 10% of the value will go to those who invent and come first forward. That 10%, as Enrique was saying, is going to go to places who have the university structure, the capital structure to take a lot of risk and go forward. You can make your own bets on who that is. 90% of the value goes to everybody who deploys, as Christian was saying. If 90% of the value goes to those who deploy, that means people who embrace it, people who actually put it into their solutions are going to be the winners and the victors of that 90%. That is where regulation comes in to not be in the way of them using it. That is where I think policymakers and regulators, they're all obsessed on the innovation. Put that aside for a moment. That is 10%, it is important, but the other 90 is far more important.
And look, I mean, just today, I met so many customers, public, private sector, and look at all the disruptions which happened with new technology in the last 20 years. I mean, it's about applying this technology in the context of your business. And so when we are talking about agentic AI, we are not only talking about large language models, we are talking about how the AI foundation, the business data of SAP can help together with the large language models to build the best agentic AI for procurement. I mean, I'm convinced in 4 to 5 years, why to have a big procurement organization? At the end, a procurement agent can do the sourcing, the negotiation, and all the automation on the billing side much better than any human being. When you think about supply chain and predictive management and increase production uptime and the productivity of your supply chain, at the end, it's about applying AI in your supply chain. So it's also about a business transformation. And that is, I guess, what really will decide if you as a company will lead in your industry or not. It's not only about buying a little piece of technology, it's about applying it in the right way in your industry, in your business.
John, did you want to speak to that as well before we move on?
Yeah, you know, really, to make it, I think, come to life, what we try to do is immerse the technology in our day-to-day activities at the company. We literally encourage our employees to use it as aggressively as they can because they're the ones that are going to find the interesting use cases and the value and creating that kind of ecosystem and that kind of environment where the technology is great, but it's only as good as the people that use it and generate the value out of it and create the use cases that I think will really drive the industry. So I think the approach from a company standpoint and the tone from the top of driving that through the organization, I think is going to make a huge difference in this thing really taking off.
I wanted to focus in on what's happening here in the UAE and in the Gulf, because there has been so much development in the AI space in particular. This country had an AI minister long before anyone knew what ChatGPT actually was. So, Christian, first to you on this. SAP has been deeply involved in the regional digital transformation story. What's the biggest opportunity for AI transformation in the UAE and in the Gulf?
I mean, first of all, kudos for this event, the World Government Summit. I mean, it's great. to get new insights, to get new ideas, but also to network. And it also shows how this region here is really leading in digital transformation. I can remember when I was here for my first time 9 years ago, I mean, all the companies were already embracing, no matter if it's public or private sector. When in Europe, we are still discussing is the technology secure enough? Can we apply it? Here, it's already happening. And also now, when we talk about inventory, asset management, about saving billions of dollars, by getting smarter on run your supply chain, here, actually, we find the use cases by the customers giving us the feedback. We have our experience, we have our lab here in the region, and then we of course globally develop that technology at scale. But what is very important to innovate at the customer side and to take this feedback and bring it back into your solutions and then embed it into the business of our customers. And here in this part of the world it works extremely well, and I mean we are further investing. And also with regard to sovereign cloud, maybe one last piece, it's also very important to talk about responsible AI. I mean, the customer's asking rightfully, what is happening with my data? Is it staying in the country? Who is touching the data? And so that is also very, very important when you run mission-critical workloads, and you have to absolutely adhere to these requirements to really, exploit this new powerful technology.
Arvind, what's your take on this as well? And when you look at the sovereign AI development that's taking place in our region, in the UAE and in Saudi Arabia, for example, what are we getting right here, and what do we need to do better?
Well, first I'll begin with, I think you're getting a lot right over here. And kudos to both the sheikhs, Mohammed bin Rahman and Mohammed bin Zayed, for appointing Al Alama as the Minister for AI. But it's more than that, it's digital government. But it's the leaning in on investment, building the models, building the Falcon models, as well as other models. I'm a firm believer that every nation who has enough scale is going to invest some in sovereign AI. Why are they going to do that? Because they want both the data input and the models that they can manage and they can control and they can trust. But it's an and. That's not instead of using other things. They will also leverage all the other open models that exist. As, by the way, Christian pointed out in his opening comments, they will leverage Llama, they will leverage DeepSeek, they will leverage R-Granite models, they will leverage Mistral. But I actually believe that for those who are at the scale point, and we can debate where is the scale point, you have to invest some so that you have some control over those for areas that may be really, really critical to the area. But at this point of first mover advantage, it actually just grows the ecosystem and grows the skills that are there. I actually give a lot of kudos to the government and to the advanced technology initiatives, including the universities, for leaning in on this. And they are happy to leverage skills that they bring in and then go forward.
Enrique, what's your take on the development that you're seeing in this part of the world? And of course, this is a growing consumer market as well for HP's products, but also a platform for you to be thinking about something that you've been doing a lot of work on, which is the future of work itself.
Yes, we think, I totally agree with my two colleagues. The work that has been done in these countries during the last 10 years has put them significantly ahead of many, many other countries of the world. And I think the ambition to use them to change processes, to understand where the technology can go, and to bring partners that can help them to make progress, I think has been fundamental. For example, we are starting to do a lot of work with universities to look for specific applications, specific use cases that will drive adoption and that will drive change. This is really fundamental to continue to grow and to continue to lead. And in our case, we are really focused on defining the future of work, of how can we use technology to make all of our companies more productive, and at the same time, make sure that our employees get a higher level of satisfaction from their work. And I have to say that many of the leading applications are starting to be developed here, and we are proud to be able to partner with the country.
John, over to you on this as well, because one of the things I was speaking to the CEO of Honeywell about was the fact that this is, of course, not a risk-free technology. So how would you assess or even advise governments in the region to balance the rise of AI with also the rise of cybersecurity and security risks associated?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, I agree with everybody on the panel around, the approach and working with educational institutions and really kind of harnessing. One of the things we're doing is we're actually partnering with our customers. For instance, we did a long-term relationship, a long-term agreement with the Malaysian government. And as part of that, we set up a cybersecurity center of excellence in Kuala Lumpur. We brought all of our technology, all of our best brains and the people, and we're training 5,000 people every month going through this cyber center of excellence. And I think, partnering with your customers as well as with, the educational institutions, I think can help us move the needle.
I wanted to shift our focus over to tariffs as well and the impact of the Trump administration. It's something that I flagged at the top of the panel. Enrique, first to you on this. The Consumer Technology Association says these tariffs could drive laptop and tablet prices up by around 46%. So what's your take on this? Does it make US tech uncompetitive, or can companies like HP absorb the hit of these tariffs?
I think what we have learned during the last years is that we need to have a much more diverse supply chain, and that we need to build products in multiple parts of the world, both to be more resilient, but also to respond to changes as tariffs could be. And what we have now is a much more flexible model than what we have that will allow us to respond to the changes. As everybody in the room knows, the situation is very fluid, so it's hard to know exactly what tariffs will be. So what is going to be very important is to be very agile, responding, having flexibility. And our goal, of course, will be to minimize the impact this will have in the consumer by being flexible and being able to adjust our production all over the world.
Arvind, of course, IBM has